Falling Frontier is a modern RTS that mixes classic RTS mechanics with a depth usually associated with the 4X genre. In the last video, I briefly touched upon this game to give you an idea of what it will be about. Today I'll be diving into some of the details to really give you an idea of how this game will actually play. Now, a campaign starts with you selecting a lineage, of which there are 9, with each of them coming up with their own backstory as well as initial buffs, debuffs, and starting technology. You start with control of a planet that has its own moons, and you have your initial orbital station. Now, this orbital station can be seen as kind of like an HQ. Now, you build shipyards to construct your own ships, and you need to produce orbital and deep space refineries to mine resources, which is then sent back to your HQ in the early game. Now, speaking of resources, you need to produce a supply depot to set up supply lines to either your home planet or, for example, the front line where you need a steady supply to keep the war effort alive. Now, the spaceport that you have, or this orbital station, is actually also a logistical hub structure, and it's a major chain in any logistical line. In the beginning of the game, mining ships will actually return to the spaceport to supply it with resources to build other things in orbit or to distribute it to orbital stations or supply depots elsewhere in the star system, which I think is a really cool thing that they will be doing with this game. So it's not just bring supplies to your HQ and you can use it anywhere, but you actually need to move the supplies to the place where you want to build things. That is just cool in my opinion. Now, your ships, speaking of the military aspect of this game, is fully modifiable. Besides just the external components, you can also modify the internal ones, such as the jump drive, the bridge, the crew quarters, and even add complete new ones depending on the type of ship you're building. Going back to the expansion part of the 4X universe, you need to build recon stations to really get an idea of your surroundings. Now, these recon stations aren't there just to scout your surroundings, but also to act as like an early warning system. Now, they come into two modes, or they come into play in two modes, in passive mode and active mode. In passive mode, it's more of like an early warning system. They will alert you when a jump signature is detected in its line of sight. In active mode, it's more of a sonar, so it's more aggressive. It also removes the cloak of this recon station, but you will definitely know when anything is moving in the line of sight. So to sum it up, for now, we have highly customizable ships, where we can customize the weaponry and the internal components. You have to actually set up recon stations to see what might be in the neighborhood, which can then be done in both a passive and aggressive way. Resources are critical, not only to produce ships, to produce orbital stations or recon stations, but also to maintain the population. You need to actually bring food to your planet, and to your people, I should say. And you need to keep your ships and its inventory stockpiled during combat. Now, I reckon that having a flanking force to take out the enemy supply lines is going to be really key at winning, especially since you can't just Zerg rush all of your ships into one fight, which I did briefly touch upon in the last video. Now, I don't know about you, the viewers, but I'm definitely interested and kind of excited for an RTS game like this. I love space games and the fine micromanaging that comes with RTS games, and this seems to be a great blend of both. Now, the last thing I want to touch upon is resources. Your population will actually be generating income for you. I don't know in which type of way, what type of income it is. Your civilians will be on the home planets where they will actually reproduce and generate income. If they are in outer space, so in the orbital stations or in your military ships, they will produce less income and will actually cost even more. So this adds another difficulty to people that would just like to Zerg rush and build a gazillion amount of ships. It is just not going to be able to maintain this. It is just financially not going to happen. And I really want to give props to the developer so far, because he has really thought it through and probably has played a lot of RTS games that I can think of at the moment of writing. Now, in the next video, I'll be diving into the economics only to really give you a detailed look into how the logistical part of this game is built up from the ground up. And hopefully, at one point, I will also be looking at how expansion in this game is going to happen. Until then, make sure to hit that sub button for more update videos regarding Falling Frontier, and I will see you guys back in the next one.